the massacre they tried to erase, the hidden genocide in Zimbabwe, not the story they tried to silence. There are stories that don't make it into the history books, stories buried under decades of fear, denial, and silence. This is one such story, a story of betrayal, horror, and a genocide that the world barely noticed. Between 1983 and 1987, in a region of Zimbabwe called Matabeleland, more than 20,000 people were killed, not by invaders, not by rebels, but by their own government. The operation was called Gukurahundi, a Shona term meaning the early rain that washes away the chaff. But what it really washed away were human lives. In April 1980, Zimbabwe celebrated its independence from British colonial rule. The country was filled with hope. For the first time in generations, the people felt free. Celebrations filled the streets. Two main liberation forces had fought the war: ZANU, led by Robert Mugabe, and ZAPU, led by Joshua Nkomo. Though victory was shared, tensions between the two factions lingered, like a fire just beneath the surface. Robert Mugabe became the country's first prime minister. Educated, articulate, and revolutionary, Mugabe was hailed as a liberation icon. But underneath the polished speeches and diplomatic smiles, he held a vision of absolute power. And that vision saw no space for opposition, especially not from the ZAPU party or the Ndebele people who supported it. Mugabe's ruling party, ZANUPF, began accusing ZAPU members of plotting a coup. Whether those allegations were true or not was never proven, but it gave Mugabe the excuse he needed. In 1982, he dismissed all ZAPU officials from government. Joshua Nkomo fled for his life. Then something darker was set into motion. Mugabe created a secret military unit, the Fifth Brigade, trained by North Korean instructors. Unlike the regular army, they reported directly to the president. They wore red berets and were feared like death itself. Their mission: to cleanse Matabeleland of dissidents. But in truth, anyone in Ndebele became a target. In early 1983, the Fifth Brigade marched into Matabeleland. Entire villages were rounded up. Men were tortured, women raped, children beaten. No court, no evidence, just accusations and executions. Survivors say the soldiers treated them like animals, blindly following orders with no mercy. The brutality was methodical. Men were ordered to lie down and dig their own graves. Some were shot and buried alive. Pregnant women were mutilated. Elders were burned in their huts. Even children were not spared, killed in front of their families to send a message. Survivors remember being forced to sing songs praising Mugabe as their family members bled on the ground. In some villages, entire families were wiped out. The fear was so deep that people couldn't even grieve. Speaking up meant disappearing forever. By 1987, the killing slowed. Mugabe and Nkomo signed a unity agreement, but it was a forced peace built on mass graves and unanswered questions. No one was arrested. No trials were held. Matabeleland was left in silence and trauma. To this day, the Gukurahundi massacre is not taught in Zimbabwean schools. Government officials call it a moment of madness. But for those who lost fathers, mothers, children, it was a genocide, one that was buried, but not forgotten. In quiet corners of Matabeleland, small crosses still mark unmarked graves. Mourners leave stones, candles, and prayers whispered in the wind. The world never saw the full horror, and the perpetrators were never held accountable. But if you're hearing this now, their story lives on, because remembering is resistance, and silence in the face of truth is betrayal.